our design problem that we need to talk about tonight. And so, one thing that happened was that actually the 4 toll booths were in 2008. Now, just 2 years later, we've got 16 toll booths, 4 times. So we have 4 times the international bandwidth. But we still have, even with 4, we've got everybody wanting to leave the country to get to the content. We need to get more content with movies of Malaysian butterflies. I'm working on that on my weekends, but not getting many hours. So this is our problem, that we've got this toll booth problem. One solution would be, in 2012, just to add 64 toll booths. But there's a limit. The bandwidth we have, leaving the country, is a finite resource. That's what we need to manage. That's the issue. Now we've got, you notice there, the smart tag. We've got VPNs. And in fact, if if you visited Loya Forum, you know you can sign up for Boleh VPN in Malaysia, 255 ringgits. And you get to go through the smart tag lane and drill a tunnel through our international gateway where we can't look inside the tunnels to see what you're doing. So several users in Malaysia figured this out. A couple years ago we had some peer-to-peer monitoring and we look at the tags. It's becoming more and more and more difficult to look at the tags that we've got, that the users are using. They're getting to be quite clever. And in fact, one of our tech council members, Rizvan, said, oh yes, here's how you do this. And in fact, he's just completed his university thesis on how we can in fact then drill a tunnel in a tunnel and never be found out. And in fact can escape some of the China firewalls as well. So this is one of our issues. And so people are in fact then drilling tunnels through to the international gateway. And in fact, that much of the content that is now being downloaded is in fact geo-protected. You heard in the introductions, Jeremy is here with the IPTV platform and some of that media content. Well, that media content we've got from some providers such as Netflix and Hulu. These are USA-based, legitimate, paid-for sites. But if you download them, if you click on them, it says, no, sorry, we don't deliver content to Malaysia. But if you get the Boleh VPN, you drill a tunnel through and you look like you're from Tennessee. And you say, I'd like to subscribe for $14 per month to streaming channels. So we've got that happening, and people are doing it in tunnels. We need to address that. That's happening. The other thing that's happened is that we've got content is now, 2 years ago, it was difficult to put together a movie channel and to be able to watch the content. Now we have NKV containers. So NKV containers can be used by any 12-year-old kid now to download movies. And it automatically loads all the drivers. So if you're doing movies, this is the way to do it. It's incredibly easy. So this is, we can thank a good Russian mathematician and programmer for this. And then the other thing we've got is our content is changing. So the content is changing, and what has happened is that what used to be a 2 gig movie, an 8 gig movie, now it's on a Blu-ray format, not in 720. Gee, that's only going to be for the StreamX feed. If you've got Unify, you can now get Blu-ray 1080p. And why not get the 3D movie version? So those are now 50 gig. And it goes on a Blu-ray, double layer disc. So you can go buy Blu-ray in the 25 gig format or the 50 gig format, and don't tell everybody, but there's now a professional version out that you have 100 gigabytes available for a movie with a full surround sound video multi-screen. They call it, this one is called single layer or double layer for 50 gig. The new one is called Professional Blu-ray. So What's happening is our toll booths have changed. We've added more. It's not enough. The way that people are using the internet all over the world, and the way that people have figured out how to use the internet in Malaysia is changing. And so we wanted to go take a look at some of those numbers. So that's my background slides on trying to set up the toll booth for you. Here we go. Let me see if I can take you back to where we were. So, what do we have to look at?
FUP.
We need to take a look tonight, and I've got some terminology that we need to talk about. We have an FUP, a fair use policy, that we're going to have to talk about, we're going to have to discuss. How do we do some traffic management? When do we take a look at this actual contention ratio? So the contention ratio is, you're in that traffic lane, trying to get through the toll booth, and it's a question of how many people do we have waiting in line, how many people do we actually fight for it. So, if we don't do this right, we're going to end up with all sorts of trouble. So, I showed you my toll booth example, and on the toll booth we had this, but if we don't get this done right, we're going to end up with this at the Malaysian toll booth. So what we need to think about is how do we in fact then have an opportunity to work with this. We can do traffic management, contention ratio, or we can look at volume based. So when we say the word CR, contention ratio, so this is a congestion management technique that we're going to use. And this congestion management technique would then take what we have for international bandwidth and to make it fair. And to make it fair means that we want to have a mechanism to ensure that people get a minimum speed and that we come up with an equitable distribution. So what's equitable? Well, some people have a 1 meg package. They should be allowed to go faster than the people who got the 512K package. Some people got the 4 meg package. They should go faster. Some people are paying more for a business package. So we need to come up with some fairness rules. That fairness rule is a contention ratio. Do we have that set up as 2 to 1 people fighting to get into that lane, or is it 5 to 1? So those are some of the trade-offs that we need to look at. And another mechanism that we have to control some of this bandwidth of everybody racing for those toll booths is a volume-based package. So a volume-based package would offer then a tailoring to how much are you really downloading. You need to take a look at your patterns. So this volume-based would in fact then be a quota on gigabytes. How many gig do you download? Now, a lot of folks don't know how much they're downloading. So we hope, starting at the end of the first quarter, in the second quarter, to give a tool so that you can actually see how much you are using. So, second quarter 2011, we wanted to add a tool for the StreamNet users, for the Unify users, to be able to see what their usage patterns are before we turn it on and say, you know, we're now implementing limits. So this is an opportunity to be able to assess where you are and what package might be right. So, but this is not going to be a hard stop limit. When you hit the limit, perhaps what's going to happen is you're going to actually then get a message to go to a website to say, you're at your limit, whatever that limit is, 300, 200, 150 gigs. Oh, by the way, you hit your limit for the month. Click here to acknowledge that you want to continue. You know, it's just going to be exactly the same, very much like some of the mobile plans. If you take a look at the mobile plans, they all have a volume application. When you reach the limit, things stop, you call, and you can continue. It's going to be very similar to some of these packages. So, what we need to acknowledge is that our bandwidth is limited. We need to develop more peering, more content that can be here inside Malaysia. And if you take a look at the Unify packages, it's 5 by 5. 5 download, 5 upload, 10 by 10, 20 by 20. So there is, built into the design, the opportunity to actually have